I tried to sit down there and they said, no, you're over here, so.
I'll call this meeting a special board meeting of Southwest Licking Local School District to order. It is April 14th at 4:30 p.m. in the District Board of Education room. The meeting notice officially reads pursuant to Ohio Revised Code 121.22 and 3313.16. Notice is hereby given that a special meeting of the Southwest Licking Local School District Board of Education, Fairfield and Licking Counties, Ohio, is scheduled to be held on Thursday, April 14th at 4:30 p.m. The meeting will be held in the Southwest Licking Local School District Board Meeting Room, 927B South Street, Pataskala, Ohio. The purpose of this meeting will be to suspend board policy DJC bidding requirements to allow the administration to move forward with addressing the water issue on the baseball field with only one quote that exceeds $10,000. Individual board members may attend in person by means of teleconference, video conference, or other similar electronic technology. Members of the public may attend the meeting in person in compliance with all current health and safety protocols or observe electronically by accessing the meeting link as posted. I'd like to recognize our visitors online. If you would join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Jones, could you please call the roll?
Sure. Mrs. Engel.
Here.
Mrs. Moore.
Here.
Mr. Vincent.
Here.
Mr. Zani.
Here.
Mrs. Spindler.
Here. Next up is the adoption of the agenda. If I could get a motion for that.
So moved. Second.
Any conversation?
Yes, that's probably a good idea.
No, this is just the agenda part.
Oh, I don't have anything to. Okay, carry on.
Mr. Jones, could you call the roll?
Mrs. Moore.
Yes.
Mrs. Engel.
Yes.
Mr. Vincent.
Yes.
Mr. Zani.
Yes.
Mrs. Spindler.
Yes. Item 2, A and B, Teamsters Local 413 or Southwest Licking Education Association on the agenda item. Seeing none, I will move on to item 3. A, suspend the board policy BJD. Is that what it was?
Or DJ. Yeah.
DJC.
DJC, yeah.
I should click on it and see. DJC bidding requirements.
So you need a motion first. So
Yes.
Motion to suspend board policy DJC.
Second.
Any discussion?
Okay. All right, now we have discussion. So I'm going to turn to Mike in a second, but we, as I'm sure all of you are aware, we're having ongoing water issues, flooding issues on the baseball field. So we have done some things, and I'm going to have Mike talk about that to try to rectify the situation, but unfortunately the water continues. I think that there are multiple variables contributing to the problem. The field itself doesn't sit in a great place. It's low, so there's always going to be a few issues. But with the construction projects, we removed trees. I mean, things have changed, and so I think it's hard to fully tell. You know, we've always had some drainage issues. Now it's kind of compounded, and it's causing the varsity games to be canceled even when it's nice out, which means they go to where the JV is supposed to play, which means then the JV games are just canceled, and the kids can't play. So it's creating a compounding effect, and what they tried to do, and you can talk about it in a minute, Mike, didn't effectively work. And so now this is a second attempt at doing something to put in a French drain, et cetera, that's going to, we believe, hopefully drastically change the situation. So do you want to kind of, I told them you met this morning, Mike, and can you tell them what we did previously too? I couldn't think of the terminology. I was drawing a blank.
So what's coming around is just a visual that we took, and I drew some things in based on our conversation today with the contractor that's making these proposals. The biggest thing is it's not going to damage any of the integrity of what we've already done. This is only going to help. So as you're looking at this aerial view, if you look at the yellow line there on the left along the, well, let me go back to a little bit just real fast. everything that you're seeing, the trees and everything else is that's a huge slope that's pouring down into that left field area, okay? And that's always been there. The heavy rains this year have kind of compounded it. So what they tried to do is, you're not seeing that on this map, on this view, but you can see how left field is kind of barren and a little patchier. That's just because it's a low-lying area and water tends to gather there. What they've done is, there's some tiles under there that have collapsed. Right now what they did is, if you're looking at the map, they kind of went in and tried to force drainage out into the outfield. So they can't do any more because that's causing damage to the playing field, and they're staying away from it. So everything that the contractor is planning on doing right now is outside of the outfield for the time being. That blue line right now is a pipe that is coming from the woods, and it's huge. I mean, it's a lot of water's draining out of it. He's going to repair that and replace that. The yellow line there on the left is going to be a French drain, basically a collection area that's going to allow water to seep in before it hits the outfield. There will be a catch basin where that white dot is drawn, and then that red line is going to be a 6-inch pipe from that catch basin that will go into an existing catch basin there in left, basically in center field. That ties into another one all the way around the outfield, and it flows out into the creek. So all of that is going to be done with the hope that we're going to stop all that water from seeping into the field. When he comes back, we're going to talk about some things in terms of in the outfield, replacing some of the tile during the off season to allow for drainage to the exterior outside of the field. He's also going to take advantage of maybe doing some things around the outfield to reduce the slope and get everything to drain on the outside.
So it's a two-part project. So part one will be the immediate fix of getting the water from going into the field. And then when the season's over and he can come back and work on the actual outfield, because he can't tear that up right now or we absolutely can't play. So a two-part.
My only question is, the second, part, the part in the off-season, is that also included in this quote?
It is not.
Okay, so that's additional.
That would be additional, and we don't have a quote for that right now.
Okay,
Because we don't really know the extent of what's going on until he can get in there and look at some of the tile and see what's damaged and what's not damaged.
okay.
Do we have a ballpark of what that might run? Like a high-low?
I did ask him, and he was non-committal. Because I will tell you, it will be nowhere near what this quote is.
Okay.
It'll be much less than this.
Okay.
Because it's not, the majority of this is going to go towards stone and pipe.
So why can't we get a second opinion?
Well, right now there's not. It's hard to get quotes on anything. People working, people wanting to do this sort of work. We tried to contact an additional engineer to have them come out and assess the property, and they said they're backed up. We can, they said, but it's going to be a while. There's just not the availability. This company that will be doing it, they've volunteered their time and done a lot of work already on the fields, and so we feel confident and comfortable with them actually doing the work, and they were willing not only to give the quote, but to do the work efficiently and to start next week, which
Would allow more time for kids to play.
yeah, I think if we could, if the water issue wasn't as severe as it was, in our mind, we've always had water. So in our mind, this wasn't going to be something that needed to be fixed immediately. It's something that we were going to be able to fix after the season, really take a look at it. But it's worse than it was before. Whether that's the removal of the trees, whether that's whatever happened when the athletic building went in, I don't know. I'm not sure anyone effectively knows, whether it's the tiles, a combination. But now we're getting to the point where even on nice days, we can't use our field. So they're playing today, JV on our field, doing, if it hits the outfield, it's a ground rule double or something. They're like, just to be able to play.
Oh, that's not good.
Just to be able to play.
I hate hearing about the JV games getting canceled because baseball's such a big program that I know there has to be a lot of seniors that are playing JV, and if they're not getting to play games their senior year, that to me that's like at all. That's why
Where is the other field?
we only have
We
the
don't
one
have another
field.
field.
So when varsity's at home, JV plays at the away site of the team the varsity's playing. And if we can't play on our field, they play the varsity game there, so JV doesn't get to play at all.
So when we add on the new fields and the new complex, then we will have 2 baseball fields, but we've
So
never had that.
The JV plays after the varsity?
No,
No,
so
they
let's
play
say
away.
Watkins is playing Granville.
Okay.
So varsity plays on Watkins' home field, the JV's playing at Granville's home field.
Okay.
So if we can't play our game on our field, the varsity goes to Granville and plays there, and JV just doesn't have a
Oh,
game.
I see what.
Because most people don't have lights, Roger, so you can't effectively, it goes too late. You can't play 2 games back to back because most fields don't have
Yeah.
lights. So JV just gets
I'm
canceled.
sorry, I just asking.
No,
I don't
it's good to
how that
know.
works,
I,
so
I didn't
Yeah.
really know how it
when you
worked
said
either.
it can go to another field, I just assumed we had 2 fields.
No, unfortunately, no.
So if they get started next week, how long will it be for completion?
3
3
days.
If he can start Monday, he says they can complete it Wednesday.
Okay, so if it's completed Wednesday, they could conceivably play ball Wednesday then, right?
I mean, depending on how much rain there is, weather, I mean,
Right.
there's a lot of rain out there. I mean, I was out there today, and not just on the field. We've got an inordinate amount of water all over the place. It's everywhere.
But
So-
if we get a little bit drier weather and they're able to do the work, John, then yes, they should be able to
Okay.
play games Wednesday night. If he gets 3
All right.
days of where he can work on it without getting monsooned on.
I mean, he can keep the rain off the water off the field. Now, how much of that drains out and how it dries out?
Well, I would assume that with his work being all outside of the field, if it stays dry and they had a game on Tuesday, they could play Tuesday.
Right.
His
Yeah.
work is on the outside, so
Everything is on the outside.
okay. That's what I was assuming.
Do we have a ballpark of how long the second part will take and when that would be completed?
We had talked about that, we didn't get a time, I mean, he doesn't know, like I said, the extent of the damage on the tile, on the inside of the field, but, I mean, as soon as the season's over, it could, weather permitting, he could probably get started on
Okay.
that.
And this is just a one-time to waive this?
This was one project only, because you have to do it every meeting if you want to continue doing it, so.
Okay.
Yep, this is one time for this one project, that's it. Any other project, we have to get 2 quotes. Unless you choose to waive it again, so. but-
I'm ready to vote.
You have any other questions? John, do you have any other questions?
No, I'm good. Thank you. Is there any sort of warranty or guarantee with this work, do we know?
No, not in the paperwork.
Yeah,
I'd say,
there's not in the paperwork, but, we could reach back, I could reach back out to him.
Mine needs to be done, so,
April.
all right, I'm good.
Anyone else? Mr. Jones?
Mrs. Engel,
Yes.
Mrs. Moore,
Yes.
Mr. Vincent,
Yes.
Mr. Zani,
Yes.
Mrs. Spindler.
Yes, that passes. I need a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Jones?
Mrs. Moore,
Yes.
Mrs. Engel,
Yes.
Mr. Vincent,
Yes.
Mr. Zani,
Yes.
Mrs. Spindler.
Yes. We are adjourned at 4:44 PM.